morning. This is the Purl Up and Die podcast. Thank you so much for joining me. If you're a new viewer or returning, I appreciate it so much that you're going to spend a little bit of time with me, and hopefully it won't be too boring for you. So my name is Jaden. I'm coming to you from Saskatchewan, Canada. If you'd like to find me online, I am on Instagram as Little Prairie Purl, and on Etsy as well. I have an Etsy shop, littleprairiepurl.etsy.com. On RAVELRY, I'm there as well as Creations on a Whim for my main account, and for my design page, I sell my patterns through Little Prairie Purl on RAVELRY and on KnitPicks. So it's been almost a couple of weeks since I podcasted. I didn't intend for it to be quite so long, but I try to do this on the days where my girls are both in school. I've got one in kindergarten and one in grade 3. And kindergarten here in Saskatchewan is just every second day, but then there was Remembrance Day in there, so there was a day off, and then they had an extra day off on the Monday, and it just threw my whole week. Basically, they had no school for like 5 days. So, yeah, I didn't really have a chance because my daughter would have been down here like a dirty shirt and it distracting me. So, sorry, I clean my glasses. I'm a little spotted today. But, okay, so today I have a few things. I'm looking around me. I've got a lot of things. Not so much yarn acquisitions or anything like that, but lots of stuff. I'm going to start a new segment today. I'm not sure. It's going to be like a tips and tricks, but it's going to be geared towards those that are new to either crochet or knitting. Heavily on the knitting, because that's kind of where my interests lie now, but things like I wish I would have known when I was a newbie, things that would have made my life a little easier, things that, you know, now that I've been knitting a while, it's like, man, I wish I would have known that. So that's what my new segment's going to be, so hopefully you find that interesting. So, but first off, I guess I will start with what I've been up to. Last time on my podcast, I showed a blanket that I was working on, that I was designing, and it was like white and the multicolored stripes. And I had mentioned that I started it in cotton and I couldn't bear to finish it. So I started it again with KnitPicks Swish, and I flew at it. Once I'm working with a yarn that I really enjoy, things just fly off my needles. So I am happy. Oh, so you have no idea how happy. So happy that this is finally done. I'm going to block it soon, tomorrow maybe, and then I'll be able to take pictures early next week, and then I am putting the pattern up. I am done. I am so ready for this thing to be up. But anyways, here it is. So like I said, it's got these little intarsia diagonals on all the stripes. There and there. So it's like a decent baby blanket size. It's 30 plus inches wide, and I don't know, like 45 inches high. I don't know. I haven't blocked it. Once I've blocked it, I will get all new set of measurements. So I don't really know what it's sitting at right now. I didn't measure it yet. So that is done. It's off my needles. I think that was the fastest I've ever completed anything. I was just like, go, go, go. Got her done. So what else is new? My sister and I, we decided we're going to start dyeing yarn. Not to sell, but for ourselves. We both go through quite a bit of yarn, and our Canadian dollar has plummeted terribly in the last few weeks. So things are a lot more expensive to be ordering up from the States. Even for like our Canadian suppliers, like our LYS in Saskatoon, prices are going to go up because our dollar is down and you buy from the States. So we thought, you know what, now is the best time as any to be ordering their yarn, and we have quite a bit in our own stashes. We use a lot of neutrals, and so we bought some of those little jacquard dyes, and we are playing with yarn, and we're actually having a lot of fun. We have no idea what we're doing, so it's kind of all very new and experimental at this point, but we're having fun. She did a colorway the other day. It was gray, and then she speckled it with like darker gray and a navy blue, and it's just so beautiful. Next time I'm going to steal it, and then I'll show it on the podcast. And then we made a little like a navy blue mini to go with it so that she can use it in the shawl. And then she's going to dye maybe a third skein or a second full skein in a darker color, like maybe like a closer to a black or a charcoal, so she can, you know, have a substantial amount to knit with. And you know, she's thinking a shawl or something, but I'm thinking a 3-color cashmere shawl would be gorgeous, but I'm sure she'll find something. She's really liking the Lisa Much patterns, and I do too. I've got quite a few of them in my Rav library. I need to make one because they're just sitting there. But anyways, our very first experiment day, we dyed minis because you just get more bang for your buck that way when you're playing. And if you ruin, you know, 20 yards, you're not going to cry. If you ruined 100 grams, you might. So, but anyways, I crocheted this one. But this was my very first mini, my very first dye thing. I don't know if you can tell it, but it is super tonal green, or shades. I don't know. I have to learn the lingo. But it's got like this bright limey green in here, and then it goes a little darker. And yeah, so it's got, I don't know. The very first time I dyed it, it was a light green, and I didn't really care for it, so I dipped it again. Like I dyed it a second time, like I over dyed it. And this is what I got. And I was like, oh, I love it. And of course it was a mini. And I'm like, I wasn't measuring, I was just, you know, practicing, playing. But I decided, well, I have to try it to do it again in a big one. Sorry, winding, shouldn't do that. So I wanted to try it in a big skein, so I actually had something substantial to make, like a hat or some socks. It's sport weight, so I could make a pair of socks if I did a contrast heel toe. But there it is. I managed to recreate it, which was a complete fluke, but I wrote the recipe down, so if I want another one, like if I make a hat out of this, I may want matching mittens or something. Maybe not a cowl, because then it's like, whoa, so much here. I don't want to look like Kermit the Frog. But this is, I don't know. Like, I took a picture. It's on Instagram, but you can't really tell on my Instagram picture. But I mean, it's like a light lime green to like a foresty green. It's so pretty. And I don't normally like green, so I don't know where this came from, but I got the dyes and I was like, so that's what I made. So yeah, that was fun. We've spent a couple of days doing some dyeing. Like I said, we did the minis the one day, and we got some ugly blacky gray color that was just terrible, and that one kind of, it's like, oh, you can't even save that one. We got a bubblegum pink. We were going for soft pink. It's a learning curve, and it's a lot of fun. But now we bought like the colors that we like the best, so like limey green and turquoise and teal and black, and I was like, I want red, I want yellow, I need orange. Oh, I should have some purple. Like, we should have at least bought the primary so we could, you know, mix colors, but we didn't. So yeah, another order will be coming in. So I'm looking for a good dye supplier. I know there's Dharma, but there's such big quantities, and we're just kind of playing right now. So hoping to find a Canadian supplier at some point of Jacquard or something like that. So yeah, well, I guess that was that for what I've been up to. I've been up to more things, but I have this other segment in my mind, so that's going to take up the bulk of it. So I don't know, I didn't really feel like working on much. I mostly focused on the blanket, so it's done. So next week I'd like to focus again on my husband's sweater, get that done, those socks that I've been working on for Blinkin' Ever. But so far, nah. Oh, and I decided to cast on some washcloths because, you know, and now I want to do socks, and I found some new patterns that I want to knit. It's just like, I don't have enough time. Somebody can give me some. So anyways, well, I will start with, sorry, I'm looking at all my crap here. I'll start with, I guess I'll start with some acquisitions. They're fabric for my shop. I went fabric shopping, because I was actually on the hunt. Somebody asked me to make a bigger bag of one that was already in my shop, and I didn't have any more fabric, so I went to the fabric store to buy one fabric, I swear. I was like, okay, I just need a half yard of this X fabric. You don't go into it's like going into the yarn shop. You don't go in for a ball of one thing. You go in and you intend on the ball of one thing, and then you come out with 20 other things. So, whoops. But I'll show you what I got. They're really cute. So I went in for this yarn. Fabric. I went in for this fabric. So I showed it on my last podcast or whatever that I had made a small bag, and a customer asked me for like a large bag out of it, but I didn't have it. So bought that. It's good. Then I saw this one. And I've shown like a lighter version of this on my previous one as well. Boop. But then they had it in dark. And I was like, well, that's kind of cute. Because I can't get the light one anymore. I've looked, I could buy it through the States, but like I said, our dollar is just way too bad right now. So I'm going to stick with shopping locally and Canadian, which I should be doing anyways. But, so there's that. I'll make that into something. And I bought, they didn't have any more of the soda pop ones left. So I don't know, maybe this, I can't remember now. Like that for the bottom. Something like that. And then I bought another one. It goes along with the same line. It's all the words of the soda pops and stuff. And I've got this one to go with. So I thought those were really fun. Just for more of my fabric stash, like I needed it. It's like yarn stash, just by accident. And then, because I really liked this measuring tape, I thought it was so cute. They had this one, and I am a Brights person. I love Brights. They're my favorite. So they have a version, not by the same company or anything, totally different company, but it's all these crazy bright colors. And then this one I got to match for the bottoms, and it's pins, like little pin ball, whatever those are called, those little stick pins with the little balls on the end. And then this also really works nice. So, more bags in my future. I just need to get sewing. And then I bought some more interior fabric, which is just, again, I'm just going to stick with whites for now. It just makes my life easier that I could just cut a whole bunch and I don't have to worry about, you know, accidentally putting the wrong ones with that and then running out and everything. And I like them. It looks clean on the inside of the bag. So, bought that, and then I bought some white polka dotty and a couple zippers and, you know, regular everyday stuff. And I've got so much more to show. I was kind of a pig. Actually, I wasn't. That's a lie. I kind of was. Knit Picks is having their big sale. It wasn't as amazing as it sometimes is, but I have a sneaky suspicion that they're going to be surprising through the week, because yesterday, out of the blue, they threw up like $1 yarns and $1 books. And I'd already put my order in, and I was not going to do it again, because it was mostly cottons and stuff, and I like cotton but I just don't need any, because I only really use it for dishcloths. Like I said in my last podcast, I tried making a blanket out of it, and it just hurt my wrist too much, so I wasn't too tempted. But now I'm wondering what else they're going to pop up for surprises, and I don't like missing things. But I got cashmere for like $4 a ball. I mean, they're 50-gram balls, so they're smaller, but you can't get cashmere for $4 a ball anywhere. So, and it was like 80-10-10. It was like 80 merino, 10 cashmere. So it wasn't like, you know, 2% cashmere and mostly acrylic or something. It's good yarn. I felt it before, and it's squishy. So I've got like 6 or 7 or 8 balls of that coming. Some new Felici colors are out. So if you love self-striping yarn for a budget, go run. Like, stop, run. Because that stuff sells out so fast. Although they're finally catching on that these things are selling like blinking fast. So I think they're bringing in higher quantities. But they've got some gorgeous colorways. So I bought my husband 2 colors. I told him, because I wanted everything. So I'm like, no, behave yourself. So I just sent the link to my husband. I said, pick 2 colors that you like. I will buy enough for socks. And I regret it already. I should have bought some for myself. If they have have another really good thing, I might have to splurge. And then I got a couple books in the mail, but that wasn't piggery on my part. That was a complete and utter surprise. A friend of mine, actually she's a friend of my mom's, they were best friends, so like I've known her since I was knee-high to a grasshopper kind of thing. But she just contacted me on Facebook and she says, hey, what's your address? I gotta send you something. And I was like, okay. So I had no idea. I thought maybe pictures or something. Didn't know. And she sent me a couple books. I'll show them next time. They're really awesome books. I'm so excited. And I bought a sock ruler. So I'll show that next time too. When if I have any progress on my socks, I'll show what my sock ruler is. I don't really know how to use it, so I could show you what it looks like. And I can show you how I guess that it works. It can't be that difficult, but yeah, so I'll show that next time too. So for now, I think I'm going to get into that other segment where I was talking about how, yeah, wish I knew. So hang on and I'll be right back. Okay, so for my segment about I wish I knew, I think I'm going to start with needles and those kind of sorts of tools. I have so many ideas. I was like, should I go with gauge or what yarn weights or blah, blah, blah. But we're going to start with the tools. So when I first started knitting, I had nothing, obviously. I had tons of crochet hooks. I had no knitting needles. And I didn't know anything about it. I didn't really have anyone that I could ask because I didn't know any other knitters. So I, as most of us do, headed to the craft store. I think I went to Walmart. I think I checked at Michael's too, but I ended up purchasing at Walmart. And I picked up these. They're bamboo. And then they've got like a clear... Like I knew I wanted circulars. I knew enough about knitting that I knew that circulars, you could knit flat on them. You could knit in a circle. I thought that they would be handy, and I didn't want to have a whole bunch of straights. So I purchased these. And I started working with cotton right away, you know, like everybody does. They make a washcloth. And I didn't really enjoy myself. And I wasn't sure if I wasn't enjoying knitting or if it was, you know, plus you're a newbie, so you don't really know what you're doing at all. So it was like, I don't like this. I want to like it, but I don't think I do. But now that I'm more experienced, I know I do not like bamboo. That's my own personal preference. There's so many that do love it. It's a reason that, you know, they're made. People love bamboo, and I'm sure that there are its uses, and that if I found the right yarn, bamboo would be happy, like, would make me happy. But these are, they're big. They're 5mm size, US size 8s. They're very, they're smooth. They're not grabby, but they're sticky. The yarn doesn't slide across them. You have to like really push. And something like cotton, which has got a lot of fibery bits to it, it's not my favorite. So this was my first pair, and I mean, it got the job done when I was doing washcloths, but very quickly I realized I needed something more. And I didn't know what, but I found on Knit Picks, like I said, I'm ridiculous. Like, I really enjoy them. And they at one point had something called a Try It set. And I don't remember what sizes came with it, but I'll just show you basically what it was. They still have it, I believe, but they only have 2 different kinds of needles now. They only have wood and nickel. And at the time, they had wood, nickel, and acrylic. So you, in a set, you got 1 pair of each in a different size. You get a pair of nickel. This wasn't the size. I don't remember what size it was, but I don't know. So anyways, you get a pair of nickel. I got a pair of rainbow. They were called rainbow. I think they're called harmony now. But they're wood. I should have had a white paper or something to show. But anyways, they're wood-based needles. And then these ones were called their Zephyrs. They do not carry these anymore at all. Like, you can't even get them on clearance. They're gone. But they were an clear acrylic needle. And they're kind of bendy. Can't really tell, but they do. So it was perfect for somebody who was like me, brand new. I didn't know what I liked. And out of the three, I loved the wood ones because they were slicker than the bamboo. They're like super coated and they're glidey and they were nice, and I really, really liked them. And hated the zephyrs, like hated them. Everything just sticks and it didn't move, and I was straining my wrists. I did not like them. I did not like them, Sam, I am. So I knew from that, well, that I wasn't going to enjoy the zephyrs. So right away I knew I didn't want to invest. So that was handy. And then with the, I like the nickel. They were too slick for me as a beginner. Everything just kept sliding off and I kept dropping stitches and they drove me crazy. So I decided to invest in some wood ones. Now, when I was a newbie, and you will find this if you are new or even if you're an experienced knitter, circular needles are pretty common and they're pretty popular. Also, I wanted something that was versatile, that I could really, like, I didn't want to have to buy straights in every size, and then I didn't want to have to buy the little interchangeables so I could use the circulars and then have to buy all the cables, and it just gets really confusing. Or no, not the interchangeables, the fixed ones, because you can buy like a US 5 in a 16-inch cable and a 20-inch cable and a 24-inch cable and a 32-inch cable and a 40-inch and a 46 and a 60. Like, who needs that many? You don't need that many. So that is the first thing. Like, it's so overwhelming. What I decided to do, and what I highly recommend, is to buy yourself an interchangeable set. Like, this was my first. So when I decided I liked the wood from Knit Picks, I waited until Knit Picks had a sale. They have the interchangeable needles. So you get one size of size 4, size 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10 and a half, and size 11. So that takes you from a 3.5 millimeter all the way to an 8 millimeter. And then if you use anything smaller than that or bigger than that, then you can buy them separately. Smaller than that, you have to go with fixed circulars. You can no longer use the interchangeables through Knit Picks because the cable where they screw on, like you see, they're not attached to anything. So you buy the, dang it, I didn't bring one down. Anyways, you buy a cable and it's got like a little screw end on it, and you just screw it right onto here. And you can buy the cable lengths. They're like $1.99, and you get 2 in a package. And then you can make these as long as you need. You can get a 60-inch cable for $1 or $2, and then screw it on, and you've got like big enough for a blanket. Or you could do a 20-inch, and then you've got enough that you can do a little hat with the same needles. So you don't have to have 4,000 different needles in your drawer getting you confused, messing you up. So highly recommend that. So this was my very first set. These were the Knit Picks. They call them Knit Picks Options. They're wood set, and I used these a ton. Like, they were my go-to needles. They were my only needles, really. And yeah, I've lost one here. I don't know what happened to it. It fell out of a knitting bag, and it's gone. So it's not complete set anymore. And then they have slots in this one for extra. This is their old packaging. They don't package like this anymore, and I don't really like it, so I'm kind of glad that they've switched. So yeah, I used that for probably a good couple years, and I really enjoyed them. But then I found, as I was getting more experienced, I wanted to move faster, and I found that the wood was a little bit limiting on some of my yarns. They were getting a little bit sticky, and yeah, so I tried then the metal ones again, because I'm like, okay, well, now I've kind of not advanced, but you know, I was experienced, a little bit more experienced. So I decided to try the nickel ones again, like, oops. I don't know if you could see what just happened, but I didn't zip it up and a whole bunch of needles came flying out. Oops, I'll have to organize these later. I'll just put them back in and zip it. Okay, no more flying needles. I think that's how I lost one, actually. That's probably how I did it too. But anyways, what was I saying? Yes, so as I was more experienced, I pulled out my try it set again, and I tried the metal, and I really enjoyed them because I found them, they were faster, I was faster, I wasn't dropping stitches anymore. So I invested in the Knit Picks Options Interchangeable Nickel set. And like I said, the packaging is different. I've got projects on these, so that's why they're not in here. But it's the same, all the way from a 3.5, like a US 4, to a US 11, so 8.8 millimeter. And so yeah, they've got a little slot for each one. And then, oh, it's ripped. Dang it. Boy, all my stuff, I just use it so much that it wears out. Oh well. But, and the back side, it comes with some interchangeable, oh, I was just complaining 2 minutes ago I didn't have one, and yes I do, in the back here. So these are the cords. This I believe is a 20-inch. Like once you, like this, the cord itself is not 20 inches. Once you add your needle tips to it, from tip to tip, will be 20 inches. And that's what they mean when you're buying cords. If you're buying a 60-inch cord, the cord itself is probably only like 50 inches or 48 inches, something like that. But once you add your needles, it becomes a 60-inch from tip to tip. So keep that in mind as well. Wish I knew. But yes, more bang for your buck. It's better economically to buy an interchangeable set. Maybe not always. Knit Picks is an excellent price. Very good value. I don't have any problems with my needles. They have a really good return. Like if your cable for some reason doesn't fit on the tip end, like for some reason manufacturing defect or whatever, you just contact Knit Picks. You tell them what the problem is, and they've, like that's what happened to me one time. I could not get my needle to screw on no matter what. There was something like a little dent on the inside or something. They were so good. I just told them what the problem was, and they're like, yeah, no problem. They sent me not a whole new set, but the tips, the size that were wrong, and then I didn't have problems. So yeah, I highly recommend that instead of having to go and buy the fixed circulars. Do yourself a favor and get yourself an interchangeable set. They will save you so much grief. And the other thing, do you have to spend a lot of money on them? No, you don't. This, I think, was $50 US. So when our Canadian dollar was almost on par, that's when I bought them. And I've used them so much. I've used them so much that the nickel plating is discoloring, because the natural oils in your hands will do that. There's nothing wrong with the needles. They will do that. If you're allergic to nickel, then you may not want to go with those ones, obviously. There's other, I think Gu makes an interchangeable set, so you just have to do your research. Yeah, and I know, like I said, the Knit Picks acrylic ones are no longer available, but there are acrylic ones on the market still. I should have looked it up. I know they're called marbles, but are they by Knitter's Pride? Maybe? Something like that. So anyways, they're called marbles, like M-A-R-B-L-E-Z, something like that. So, but yes, it is important for you to get as good a quality as you can afford. Needles make a huge difference for your knitting experience. Take it from me, like I said, the bamboo ones, I hated them. They were cheap. They're like $2. Like, they didn't cost anything, but I didn't enjoy them. I didn't enjoy the process or the finished project. I mean, I fought and swore with them the whole time. And I didn't think it would make a difference, but it does. Another case in point is also when I first started and I decided I wanted to go with some metal needles. And I was getting into sock knitting. I went on eBay and I found a whole set, and I thought this was going to be excellent. They're just like straight from China. I've got so many. I've got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There's 13. And they go from itsy bitsy. Okay, I've got them mixed up somehow. Like, these are crazy tiny. I think I paid like $2 a set. But I don't use them because they are not that good. I mean, so it's kind of a wasted purchase. So you want to do your research, find some that have come with high recommendations, and buy the best that you can afford. So now that I have done these, and I've really enjoyed them, I've used them to death. Knitter's Pride is a really good company for their needles. They've released a set of, they're called Zings, and I believe they're nickel, but they're colored. And they released a holiday set last year. Every year they release a set, like a special holiday gift set. Last year was their Royale line, which was all their, I think their Dreams. They're metal tipped. So there's another option. There's metal tipped wooden needles. So if you like the slickness of the wood or like the stickiness of the wood, if you like wood properties in your needles but you want something a little bit faster and a little bit sharper, there are the Dreams, where you can get, you know, it's kind of like the best of both worlds. I haven't tried them myself, but I'm tempted. So there's those. But anyways, this year they came out with a new set, and it's their Zing needles, which have so far only been released in Europe, but they just released them to North America within like the last month or so. And I splurged, or my husband spoiled me actually. He bought me the set. It's called it's the Knitter's Pride Melodies of Life holiday gift set. A lot of stores might not be carrying them. I went to my yarn store in Saskatoon and I asked her, she sells the Knitter's Pride, like individuals and the interchangeable sets, and I just asked her if she'd custom order me one, so she did. Thank you so much, Charlene. I love them. I don't think she watches, but if she does, then yes, she special ordered me these when I phoned her up, and she was quite excited. When I went into the store, we opened them up together because she wanted to see what they would look like. So anyways, my battery is about to die, so I'm going to turn it off and then I'll come back and show you these. Alright, back again. So, the Knitter's Pride set that I just bought, it was a little bit spendier than the other ones that I have shown, so, I mean, if you're new, you might not want this, but if you know, it's also a really good gift, too, if you are new, so maybe you could, you know, save some gift certificates or something and splurge on this for yourself if you know you're going to like the metal needles. I really like this set, so I'll give you a peek. Yeah, so you open up, sorry, I'm missing one because I already have a project on them. As soon as I got this, I cast on something when I got home because they're fun. But look, they're so pretty. They're all colored. I love that each color, like each pair, is its own separate color, so you're not going to mix it up and accidentally grab, you know, because they get really close in size, so you're not going to accidentally grab like a 4.5 along with a 5, you know, and then you're knitting something and you realize you've got two different size needles. It's not going to happen, which is nice. And then I like too how each, here, let's take these bright pink ones, like each of them have it written right on there what size it is, so you're not, you know, if you forget what size you're knitting on or whatever, you can just look and it's there. So I really like these. It looks like it's two pieces, but it's really not. There's no join here. It's all just one smooth piece. It's like they dipped it, or I don't know how they did that. It's colored, but it's not joined. So I don't know. It's a mystery to me. I'm sure that everybody else is like, oh, it's so easy how they do that, but I don't know. I don't know. I'll just think it's magic. So, anyways, and there is that. And again, it's 3.5 millimeters to 8 millimeters. So again, the full set, just like the other ones. Yeah, so there's that. Yeah, and then the tray, it just pops out. Like, it's just a little tray that, you know, hides the bottom. So inside the bottom, you have two sets of earrings, which are beautiful earrings. They're made out of wood, the same wood that Knitter's Pride makes. Like, they have, I don't know what the name of their fancy rainbowy colored wood needles are, but anyways, whatever wood it is that they use for some of their special wood needles are what these earrings are made out of. So pretty. I'm really looking forward to wearing these. I haven't yet because I wanted to show them on the podcast, but there's two sets. There's an oval set with the red and the cream and the natural wood and the gray. And then these ones are like a turquoise and a green and a gold and a pink. They're pink at the back. So I love them. I'm looking forward to it. I have lots of turquoise. I wear a lot of that color, so these will get used for sure. And then also there's a bunch of notions that come in the kit as well. You get 4 sets of cables. So you get one red, and I can't remember the length, I'm sorry. It's like 60 inches maybe, and then the orange might be 40 inches, and then this one might be 24. It's yellow. So you get 4. Like I said, I've already snagged a set of needles and one of these cables for a project that I'm working on. But yeah, and so with each of these you get, so like I said, you get the 4 cables, and then you get a cable connectors and a key for each one. So if you're not familiar with what a cable connector is, not a cable connector, sorry, an end cap. Let's see if I can get it open here. These little baggies are, there we go. Okay, so, you know, say you're knitting along on something, a hat or whatever, and then you run out of enthusiasm for it and you want to snag the needles. Like, I'm using a 4.5 and I need those 4.5 for something else that I want to cast on. But you don't want to lose all the stitches off your cable, right? So the little end caps, you screw one on this end, you screw one on that end, and then all of a sudden you can leave your project on the cable and not have to worry about all your stitches just, you know, falling off and you have live stitches. So I really like those. I kind of figured when I first got them, oh, you know, I don't need those. I use them all the time. And then you get this special little key. Now, a lot of people, when they first start using interchangeables, they don't have a clue what this little key was. And I admit, that was me. No idea. It just looks like a little Q or a little P or, you know, whatever. It's just this teeny little thing. So what those are, if you're not familiar, I'm sorry for those of you that know all this already, but this is something I wish I would have known, because I was knitting one day, just knitting along, and my interchangeables kept unscrewing, and it was so irritating, because sometimes I thought, like, I was so close to having my needle tip fall off, and if you're knitting along and your needle tip falls off, you're going to lose like umpteen amount of stitches, and you, especially when you're new, you don't know how to pick those up sometimes. And all of a sudden you've ruined a project, and it's so frustrating. So what this key is for is you take your, you know, your needle and you screw it onto your cable. And now most people would just start knitting. But as you turn, you know, this wiggles a lot. Like, you can see that. That is not optimal for knitting. So you take your key, there's a hole in your base. The key, now I can't do it. Just because I'm on the filming myself and it's impossible. You take your key and you put it in the little hole. Boop. Like, oh, and of course this one's sticky. There we go. Sometimes they're a little sticky. They might have something, you know, so you just give it a good shove, and it usually is. So now you've got it like so. Now you can hold your knitting needle and you can hold your key, and you have the key now as leverage, so you can give your, you know, I mean, you don't want to twist it so hard that you're going to snap it or something like that, especially if you're using wood. If you are using wood needles, like these ones, you always hold it by that. You don't twist by using the wood, because you can snap the wood out of the metal, whatever, base. So you don't want to do that. So always grab it by the metal if it's down here. These ones are all metal, so it doesn't really matter, but you just give it a good twist. Now, like, that's not, I'm twisting it just, you know, even harder than I was a minute ago, and that's not going anywhere. So that just gives you peace of mind. So don't throw these out. I did that. I was like, oh, that's a weird little thing. No, you need it. So there is a pointer for you. And you know what? Like, this is geared obviously for those of us, those that are newer, but I've been knitting with interchangeables for like a year before I knew what that key was for. So again, wish I would have known that. I felt kind of foolish when I figured it out, but somebody finally told me. But now you don't have to feel silly like I did. But yeah, so that was that set. I love it so much. I'm really looking forward to knitting with all of these. I mean, I admit I don't use these sizes as much, but when I do need them, it is nice to have them. And that's the one thing that what convinced me to buy interchangeable sets in the beginning, is because my gauge was off. You know, you're looking at a pattern and it says, oh, you should get 20 stitches every 4 inches with 4.5 millimeter needles. And I would pull out my 4.5 millimeter needles and I couldn't get gauge. And then I didn't have the next size up or the next size down to be able to, and then I would have to wait until I was going to the store again. It was really frustrating. So at least when you have interchangeables, you know, if you can't get gauge with these ones, well, try the smaller ones if you need them, or try the bigger ones. And yes, I think next week I'll maybe go into why gauge is important. I know it's kind of a scary word for a lot of people, and they're like, they don't understand why it's important, or, you know, is it a big deal? Yeah, it is. Sometimes, not always, but sometimes it is. It's good to know why. So we'll maybe discuss that next week. But for this week, I think that's about it. I think I've yammered on and taken up enough of your time for now. But I really appreciate you holding on for this. I know if this was information that you weren't interested in and you hung on anyways, well, thank you so much. And I hope that you will come back again and visit with me and keep leaving your comments and everything. It means so much to me. So I hope you all have a wonderful night, and I will see you next week.